Live from Waterford and Dungarvan, this is Waterford at 1 News.
Good afternoon, I'm Sinead. Aherne. Today's top stories. The President of the European Commission says EU Commissioners have to comply with COVID-19 rules. 5 people have been arrested in Waterford, Dublin, Cork and Kerry in an operation targeting a Lithuanian crime gang. 6 new cases of coronavirus have been confirmed in Waterford. And in sport, the future of the NBA season in the US is in doubt after a protest against race and police brutality. The President of the European Commission has signalled her disapproval of Phil Hogan's actions while in Ireland. The search is now on for his replacement after he stepped down following the Golfgate controversy. Simon Coveney, Leo Varadkar and Mairead McGuinness are some of the names in the mix to replace him as EU Commissioner. Ursula von der Leyen thanked Phil Hogan for his work but said commissioners have to obey the rules.
I expect the members of the College to be particularly vigilant about compliance with applicable national or regional rules or recommendations.
Waterford Green Party TD Marco Kozik says the Commissioner position will be of huge importance for Ireland amidst the Brexit process.
It's a very important role in Europe, both from a European perspective, but obviously as Brexit looms, it's very important that we have somebody very capable within the trade portfolio. So I'm hoping that there'll be a good field of candidates put forward, and I hope that we'll be able to move forward with the work of the European Union as quickly as possible.
18 people have been arrested as part of an international operation targeting a Lithuanian crime gang suspected of trafficking people to Ireland to sell drugs. The 3-year investigation led to arrests in Waterford, Dublin, Cork, Kerry and Belfast. Stephen Murphy has more.
Yesterday's International Day of Action was the culmination of a joint investigation set up by Lithuanian and Irish authorities in 2017. The organised crime group being targeted, made up of Lithuanian nationals, is suspected of trafficking large amounts of heroin to Ireland and Northern Ireland. They're also suspected of exploiting victims they trafficked here from Lithuania to act as drug dealers and drug mules on their behalf. At least 65 people from vulnerable backgrounds or who are drug addicts themselves have been identified as being trafficked by the gang. A total of 18 arrests were made yesterday. 5 were made following searches in Dublin, Cork, Waterford and Kerry, and those arrested were brought before the High Court for extradition proceedings. Searches in Belfast led to 3 arrests. A 44-year-old man appeared in court yesterday, a 40-year-old man remains in custody and a 39-year-old woman has been released on bail. Europol says a financial investigation is ongoing to trace the criminal proceeds laundered through the use of complex transactions and the purchase of assets such as real estate.
6 new cases of COVID-19 have been confirmed in Waterford. It means 15 cases have now been diagnosed here in the space of 1 week. The other most recent increase, also 6, was announced on Saturday. In total, 164 cases were confirmed across the country yesterday. 93 in Dublin, 22 in Kildare, 10 in Tipperary, 9 in Cork, 8 in Carlow, 6 in Waterford and 6 in Offaly. The remaining 10 cases are spread across Galway, Kilkenny, Limerick, Louth and Roscommon. Elsewhere, there was 1 confirmed case of COVID-19 at University Hospital Waterford last night. According to the HSE's daily operations update, 5 further cases were waiting on the results of coronavirus testing there at 8 o'clock. A Waterford TD says a perfect storm is coming at us this winter when it comes to hospital capacity. Sinn Féin's David Cullinane read out the Minister for Health's own briefing notes in the Dáil's COVID committee, which predict a reduction of up to 4,700 beds due to social distancing and surge capacity. He says the department couldn't give him a hospital-by-hospital breakdown.
So if we can't even get a breakdown of what that will mean in each hospital or each hospital group, and we're trying to plan as well and to support government in terms of what solutions are in place, whatever the figure is, I think we can agree we're going to lose capacity. And what people want to know, and what frontline healthcare workers want to know, is how we're going to replace that capacity. So if the figure is as bad as they say it is, and it is 4,700 beds, how is that shortfall in capacity going to be made up? And where is the plan to make up that capacity?
A Waterford GP says social distancing together with the annual vaccine will knock the rate of flu down considerably. It comes as the delivery of the state's supply of flu vaccines has been delayed by 2 weeks due to the impact of COVID-19. Dr Austin Byrne spoke to Damien Tiernan on Daysha today. He says a good uptake of the virus will reduce demand on healthcare services.
The most important component of flu vaccination is really almost not vaccinating those who need it most. It's vaccinating everyone else, because if we vaccinate everyone in the town, and we have one person who really, really needs to not get flu, if the rest of the cohort are vaccinated in the town, flu cannot enter and cannot travel through the community. So we vaccinate people in a targeted manner, but really we need to vaccinate everybody. And this year, the government have extended, in particular to children between the age of 2 and 12, who are the biggest carriers of flu in the community. And that, with social distancing, will probably knock flu rates down really considerably this year.
Public Health will determine what course of action will be taken by a school if there's a confirmed case of coronavirus. That's the message from the Education Minister as thousands of children return to schools across the country. Minister Norma Foley says there are protocols for schools to follow.
If a child is unwell in school, the child is taken to the isolation area. A parent guardian is called, and the GP makes the decision in terms of a test, and as you have now suggested, we'll say the test comes back positive. As a consequence of that, then, Public Health takes over, and Public Health looks at the school, comes to the school, and they make the adjudication on what happens next.
Waterford Institute of Technology has confirmed that all lectures, tutorial and practical classes will be delivered remotely for the coming academic year. Lab and workshops that require special equipment will take place on campus. The Institute's written to all students advising them of their plan for the year ahead. They're advising students to be as flexible as possible when it comes to accommodation, travel and general study for 2020 to 21. This year's West Waterford Festival of Food has been cancelled following growing concerns over COVID-19. An autumn event over 2 weekends in September and October was planned for the first time after the original festival was postponed in April. However, in light of recent changes to guidelines around group gatherings, they've made the difficult decision to cancel their programme of over 50 events. CEO Gemma Tipton says it's the right move.
It just feels wrong to be going ahead with celebrations at the same time as we all have to focus on getting the kids back into school safely, making sure the schools can stay open.
Hurricane Laura has made landfall in the southern United States, bringing winds of up to 240 kilometres per hour. There are fears the impact of the storm could be unsurvivable, as Ben Finnegan reports.
When Hurricane Laura made landfall on the border of Texas and Louisiana, it was a Category 4 hurricane, but is expected to weaken as the day goes on to Category 2. Forecasters are warning of a storm surge which could push a wall of water over 60 kilometres inland. Rob Marciano is a meteorologist with ABC News in the US. He's in Lake Charles, which experienced gusts of almost 200 kilometres an hour this morning.
I'm afraid of what we're going to see, guys. A lot of people left. Most people did, but there are some people that stayed behind, and they had at the very least, dangerous night, I can tell you that.
Some areas further inland are still waiting for Hurricane Laura to hit, while AJ Ciro from the American Red Cross says his teams have to consider COVID-19 also in the cleanup.
We are taking temperature scans as clients enter our shelters. We're also creating a more socially distant environment that clients enter into as they show up at shelters and lodging at hotels.
A number of areas have declared a state of emergency, while local officials in Louisiana and Texas wait for daylight to begin to assess the damage.
And Quilta forests in Waterford and across the country have seen a dramatic increase in visitor numbers since COVID-19 restrictions were eased. More than 13,000 people visited Colligan Wood Recreation Forest between June and early August. Quilta says international research shows spending time in forests or parks helps boost the immune system, reduces stress and lowers blood pressure.
Sports News on WLR.
With Virgin Media Waterford. Want super fast broadband today? Drop into Virgin Media George's Street and take it home with you. Easy as that.
A very good afternoon from the sports desk. I'm Nigel Kelly. Starting with basketball, where the future of the NBA season could be called into question amid reports on the Athletic website that players from the LA Clippers and LA Lakers have voted to end the season. It comes after the Milwaukee Bucks refused to play their match with Orlando Magic yesterday as a protest over issues of race and police brutality. All other NBA games were postponed, with baseball and MLS matches following suit. On last night's NBA coverage on TNT, former Orlando Magic player Kenny Smith walked off set in solidarity with the players.
I think the biggest thing now is to kind of, as a black man, as a former player, I think it's best for me to support the players and just not be here tonight. And figure out what happens after that. Yeah, I just don't feel equipped to do that. And I respect that.
Moving to soccer, where Vera Pauw will stay on as a Republic of Ireland manager if they qualify for the 2021 European Championships. Pauw took charge of the team in 2019, is contracted until the end of the current qualifying campaign, but this will be extended should the team secure a place at the finals tournament, which will be held in July 2022 after being pushed back a year because of the pandemic. Ireland are unbeaten in qualifying after 5 games, but still have to play Germany twice either side of a trip to Ukraine. Elsewhere in soccer, Shamrock Rovers and Bohemians are both in European action this evening in the first qualifying round of the Europa League. Rovers host Ilves of Finland at the Tala Stadium from 8 o'clock, while Bohs are in Hungary to face Fehérvár at 5:30. In golf, the Irish boys inter-club Munster final was played out yesterday in Blarney, where the Tramore boys team placed 6th. Team manager Andre O'Brien says it's unfortunate that the boys never got a practice round on the course due to the stormy weather.
To be honest, it was a little bit disappointing yesterday. The real problem was we're playing a Munster final, but we never got a practice on the course in Blarney. It was rearranged for this week for Monday in Ballykistine, but the storm over the weekend put an end to that, so it was hastily rearranged for Blarney. It really came against us. It was really unfortunate. We never got a practice round.
Elsewhere in golf, the BMW Championship begins today on the USPGA Tour at Olympia Fields in Illinois. Rory McIlroy plays alongside Xander Schauffele and Brendan Todd and tees off just before 7 o'clock Irish time. Bent Weisberger leads on day 1 of the UK Championship on the European Tour at the Belfry. The Austrian is 6 under par. Paul Dunn is 1 over and Brendan Lawler is 6 over, while Jonathan Caldwell tees off this afternoon. And in racing, there is an 8-race card at Bellewstown which gets underway from 20 to 4. Sports news on WLR thanks to Virgin Media Waterford.